Okay, so what we're going to talk about here is converting between percentage, fractions, decimals, and ratios. So to convert a percentage to a fraction, we drop the percent sign and divide by 100. So if we had a percent, say 8%, we would divide that by 100 and drop the percent, and that makes it into a fraction. And we could sometimes reduce a fraction. This one would reduce by 4, so we'll have 2 over 25, and that would be it. So we'll do one more, maybe a fraction. Say we had 1/4 of a percent, so 1/4 divided by 100. Now that's 1/4 divided by 100 over 1, which is 1/4. Invert and multiply. Multiply across the top and across the bottom. So it would be 1 over 400 would be the fraction. To convert a percentage to a decimal, we're going to do the same thing, but since it's in decimal form, when we divide, it's going to be the same as moving the decimal 2 places to the left. So, for example, %, we want to divide that by 100, but that's the same as moving the decimal, which is at the end of a number, 2 places to the left. So this would be 0.25. So I'm not going to write this next time. I'll just say if we had 1.4%, we drop the percent sign and we move this over twice. Now if there's no numbers here, we would add a 0. So we're going to have 0.014. 0.014 without the percent sign. So 75%, move the decimal over, 0.75. Now if our percent was like a fraction, say we had 6 over 7%, and we wanted that to be in a decimal form, you would actually have to put this into a decimal number first. So we would have to do the long division. So we would say 7 goes into 6. Now it doesn't go in, that's less than 1, that number, because that's a proper fraction. So we would add a decimal here. And this would be 0. It doesn't go into 6, and it goes into 60. 7 goes into 60 8 times. 8 would be 56. Add another 0. 7 goes into 40. 5 is 35. Subtract. I'm running out of room here. We'll squish it in. So 5. Add another 0. 7 goes into 50 7 times. Now I've got more than 3, or I've got 3 decimals, so I can stop. And I can say 6 over 7 is 0.86. Now, to convert this to this is percent still. I didn't divide by 100 yet. So I want to move the decimal over 2 more places. So I would have 0.0086%. Or 0.0086%, yeah. So this is very small, but remember this was a percent less than 1. Oh, not percent. Drop the percent. So it's equivalent to a decimal with the decimal moved twice. Okay, so you do, if it's a fraction, you do need to make it into a decimal first. To convert a percentage to a ratio, so say we had, for example, 25%. First we divide by 100, and then we reduce the fraction. So these would both divide by 25. and then we can write that as a ratio, 1 to 4. The ratio has to be in lowest terms, so you would always reduce first. So, for example, if we had 3%, we'd write that as 3 over 100. They don't reduce, so the ratio would just be 3 to 100. And nothing to do. Say we had 1/2%, then we would say this is 1/2 divided by 100, which is 1/2 divided by 100 over 1. Invert and multiply, so 1 over 200. And that's in lowest terms, it's a single fraction, so we would say 1/2% is the ratio 1 to 200. Right? 1% would be 1 to 100. And 1/2%, which is half of 1, is 1 to 200 instead. So the next, to convert a fraction to a percent, multiply by 100, reduce, and add the percent sign. So if we have a fraction, we multiply it by 100. So we would take our 3 over 4, multiply it by 100, and reduce. So 4, this is 3 times 100 over 4. This divides by 4 and that divides by 4. So we'll have 3 times 25 over 1, which is 75. And then add the percent sign. 75%. 3/4 is 75%. So what if I had 5 and 1/2? And I wanted to convert that to 100. Well, first I would make it into a improper fraction. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11 over 2. Multiply by 100. So 11 times 100 over 2. 2 goes into 100 50 times. So we have 55 over 1, or 55%. Now, if I want to convert a decimal to a percent, I multiply by 100, or move the decimal places over. So when we're dealing with decimals, it's easy. We don't need to really multiply or divide by 100. So to convert a decimal to a percent, so say for example we had 0.5, then we move the decimal 2 to the right and add the percent sign. So it would be 50%. So 0.5 is 50%, or 1/2 is 50%. So say for example we had 1.5. If we move the decimal, so instead of here, it's going to be here at the end. That would be 150%. So 1.5 is 150%. 0.37 would be 37%. 0.02, move it over twice, would be 2%. To convert a ratio to a percent, write the ratio as a fraction, multiply by 100, reduce, and then put the percent sign. So ratio, suppose we had 1 to 2, so we're going to write it as a fraction, and then take that fraction and multiply by 100. So that's 100 divided by 2, which is 50%. So 1 to 2 is 50%. Say we wanted 3 to 7, that's 3 over 7. Multiply 3 over 7 times 100, and this doesn't really reduce, so we would want Here it doesn't give us a whole number right now, so we would divide that. 7 into 300. So 7 into 30 is 4, would be 28. And then 2 would be 14. And if we wanted to add a few decimals, so bring down a 0, 60 would be 7 times 8 is 56. And then 40, 7 times 5 is 35. And then 50, 7 times 6 is 42. Oh, 7 times 7 is 49. That's closer. 7. And I don't need to keep going because I have enough decimals now. So this would be 42.86%. So it's a little less than half. 3 over 7 is less than half. Half of 7 is 3.5. Okay, so that's the end of converting. So there's different ways to convert to percent and from percent.